guys. I appreciate you showing up and agreeing to do the second ever McKenzie Podcast.
We're not number one, but we're two. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Number two, I mean, I'm trying to stick with it. I don't know. We'll see if it continues to evolve, but hopefully it does. And
Keep it up. This is a good setup, man. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's exciting. Thank you for asking us and having us on.
Pleasure. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So Ben Banyasz, Dana Sneade, happily married, business partners, running a small business in Southern Maryland.
Yep.
I mean, really, I can't think of anybody that would be more perfect to come talk to. So I think y'all can do most of the talking, and I'll just sit here and ask questions, and we'll go with that.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
Yep.
So Sneade's Ace Home Center, 4 locations. You have Owings, Lusby, Leonardtown, and Charlotte Hall.
Yes.
2 of those are fairly new locations.
That's correct.
So it's a growing business,
Absolutely.
which is always a good thing.
Very good. Very
Yep.
good.
Yeah.
For God's glory, man. That's what that's what it's all about for us. You know?
Yeah, for sure, man. So why don't y'all kind of talk about the different stores and acquiring the 2 new locations and a little bit of what y'all have going on with that.
Go ahead, you start.
Yes, so we kind of like to say we had twins, I guess, in the middle of a pandemic. We acquired 2 stores, and if it wasn't crazy enough with COVID and everything, we were like, why not buy 2 more Ace stores? So that was exciting. It's been, we've had the first 2 for a while now, and we just wanted to grow Sneades, and continue to impact our community. So it's just kind of crazy how everything happened, though.
Absolutely. And that's a big thing at the end of the day. When we look at the growth, our vision is how can we impact people? We look at the staff and the communities around us. That's the most important thing. We don't want to acquire stores where we can't make an immediate impact, and that's when we looked at it, those 2 stores in Leonardtown and Charlotte Hall being in the Southern Maryland area was a perfect area for us to leave an impact and do what we need to do.
Yeah, for sure. I think keeping it local in Southern Maryland is probably the way to do it. Because I know it's different, and people from St. Mary's is going to say it's different, but the truth is it's the same community. Like we all have the same demographic, it's the same values, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that really helps out a lot as far as being able to transition to having more locations.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's funny because our customer base actually crossed before we took over the stores in St. Mary's. We had a lot of customers that shopped over there and shopped us. So it was just kind of a natural thing to kind of morph us all into one. So it worked out good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What has been the struggles with getting to 2 new locations? I mean, besides the timing with COVID and everything, but just growing that fast. I mean, when you acquired those 2 new stores, did it already come with employees and come with everything kind of set up? Oh, I know I did a job for you guys in Leonardtown. So,
Yes.
I mean, you did have to make some changes. So,
yes.
I think the big thing when we took over the business with the current or the original owner, developed that community sense, and what he established, and our intent was not that they built a good foundation, and we wanted to only improve upon that, and I think that's our mentality going in is we weren't going in, to change much, but only to grow it. And of course, we'd end up making changes. Change is inevitable, especially when you have a culture that you want to set and you want to put out that we see as successful, as what's made us successful. So when you go in, that's the biggest challenge has been establishing our culture. A lot of people, the old phrase, you can't teach old dogs new tricks kind of thing comes into play, and there's been challenges, and there's people that want to challenge what we do, and that's okay. And we're there to love and serve, and show them that we care, and I think that's ultimately what's kind of had the breakthrough with the majority of not only our customers, but more importantly our staffing that we have over there.
Yeah, and I think too, they didn't know us, so it's you've got this new people coming in that
you guys kind of acquired the new location with existing
yes.
people.
Yeah, so we took over when we purchased it, all of their staff came with it. And so because we wanted to keep it that way, that their staff knew that community and they knew their customer base, and they knew how things worked. And so we wanted to build upon that. But we wanted to make sure that it was done like, you know, in the way that we do it. We're kind of unique, I guess, in the way we kind of run things and the way we kind of how we approach business. And so we had to like implement that. And that's the biggest thing, is just getting people to understand like why we do things the way we do. Like, why are we not your average hardware store? You know, we're not in the business just to make money. We're in the business to like, you know, to build a community and to build relationships. So it was switching their mindset from how they've done business and how they've worked over there for a number of years to kind of like how we do things.
Yeah, but I can see how it's beneficial though. Like
yes.
You have a yard guy that from that spot, or a cashier, she's like, nope, you don't need to stock that much of that because we never sell that.
Exactly.
You know,
yes.
Like there's not a market for that down here.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or they're like, you know, or they're like, hey, you guys like get deer corn from so and so, but we have like an Amish family like right down the street that like sells it and bags it, like. And so we're like, awesome. Like, then why can't we use them for our other 2 stores too? Yep. So it's great because they have that community imprint, and we're able to like suck that knowledge from them, you know, and absorb it. Yep. So,
but that also comes with, I guess, the challenges, you know, and that's the culture that I mentioned. You know, I tread lightly here, but we don't get rid of good employees, you know. And when you think about when you're changing culture, there's some people that just aren't gonna want to adhere to your culture, and that's the big thing. Like we are a very positive, highly quality and service, you know, high quality and service. And if you can't come in and you don't want to work as a team, you don't want to build that family relationship as a staff, you know. When we look at our 4 locations, our staff is not just our staff. We always say they're a part of our family, and we hope they feel that, because that's all, at the end of the day, if we don't have staff,
we don't have anything.
We're nothing.
How big of a staff do you guys have right now?
We have 180 employees now between like all 4 stores. That includes like our office.
We need another 30 to 40.
Yeah. I know. It's funny. You like, and that's what we say. We're like we doubled in size overnight. And so it's like what we were used to like managing, and then what we went to manage, we were like, wait, what? And when you stand back and look at that, and the thing is, we have a great like core staff, like a great admin team that helps us and supports us to be able to do what we do on a day-to-day basis. Cause it's not, you know, it's not just us. And that was the cool thing, that like how when we grew overnight, like it didn't just impact Ben and I or my parents, it impacted like our entire admin staff, and they've been fantastic through all of it.
Well, I would assume doubling locations, I mean, it puts more workload on current employees, but it also opens up maybe other, like for new positions, you know, like, it's growth. I mean, you like, okay, well, this person maybe to be able to take on this much more, but then we need somebody to fill in these roles.
Yes.
So I can see where it presents a lot of challenges. For
sure. And then the challenges, you know, and that's been the full year in challenges with COVID and taking on these stores is challenges. But with challenges, you know, we like to look at it as opportunities. Yeah. And not just for us, but for so many other people. Yeah. You know, that like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And I mean, you're giving opportunity to 180 people.
Yeah.
I mean, they all are being part of that, you know, that network now. I mean,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And it's cool because like now that we've had our feet wet for, I guess, like the last 8 months since we acquired them, now we can like kind of breathe a little bit and step back and say, okay, what positions do we need to create? Like, what do we need to do to be able to add more people to our team to strengthen our team? Because, you know, it's like when it was just like Owings and Lusby, we could manage things a little bit easier, you know, but with the 4 stores now, it's like we need more support, and we need to be able to support our team. So that's where like the brain comes together now. I don't really know if it's the brain, but I mean, I'm like, it's where we come together now, and we're like, all right, how can we, late night conversations, how can we figure this out, and what can we bring, and who can come?
The brain. Pinky over here.
Which one's the brain?
The brain,
Some days.
Well, I will say, every time I've ran into you guys in public or like on the road and like we're honking at each other, I mean, you're always together.
I know.
It seems like y'all.
No, I know. It's ridiculous.
We get some crap about that too. No,
It's ridiculous. No, sometimes I'm like, Yeah, you go to another store today.
Yeah, we got to do that. And I know we've been, our attention's been on trying to develop that culture over there. And now we're getting to the point where the staff is starting to rock it, and our managers are starting to drive it. And so I've been able to get freed up a little bit to get around all 4 stores a lot more here lately. And it's a breath of fresh air being able to see our staff, at our 2 original locations, even though they understood how much work we had to put in. And getting back to see them,
it's cool.
It is awesome. Yeah.
But I will say, you're just my chauffeur. I've always wanted a chauffeur, and so now I just have somebody that drives me to work every day.
It's not bad.
I know. It's a great life.
Am I your chauffeur, or are you my assistant?
No, chauffeur.
Okay. I don't know about that.
Hey, man. Whatever makes her happy.
Yeah.
She can call you whatever she wants to, right?
I'll tell you, it's all right.
Happy wife, happy life.
That's right. You're fine.
Yeah. Now, do you guys I would assume you guys both are kind of in charge of your own role, though, like day to day, or do you guys kind of collaborate on everything for each decision? Or like for me personally, like I handle more so the like the day to day logistics and like trucks and guys and the jobs and estimates, but Carly handles more so like the office administrative side.
Yeah. I think as we get more into the business, I think our roles are just everything. I mean, it is our business, so we play everything. But if I had to put more of where we are, I'm more of the daily operations, really getting nitty gritty with the staff, where she's more of the HR office kind of side. So we drive that, but at the same time, we both have to be so involved into the business. We have to at least know that kind of stuff. Would you agree, or is Pinky talking out of line right here?
I mean, no, I think that's kind of like, so my like title, I guess if you call it, with like the business is director of operations. And that really was just like a generic title because it was literally like whatever came across my plate that day. Because we do have a good core of people like at our office that handles like all of our like invoicing on a day-to-day basis and like our HR stuff and like our inventory stuff. We have core people who do that. And then I was just kind of like there to fill in the gaps where it needed between the 2 stores. And so, and then to kind of like sit back and look and say, okay, what can we do more efficiently to work things? But since like COVID hit, and then since we took on these 2 stores, my role's kind of like, it's just been like wherever the marbles fall, like that's what we've got to pick up. Yeah. And with him, like he's the district manager, so he was kind of like the one that made sure all the stores were on the same page. So there is a lot of things that we go like our separate directions, and then there's a lot of things that he's great at that I'm like, yeah, I want nothing to do with that. And there's a lot of things that he's like, wait, how does this work? Like, let me know. So it does. We complement each other and well in that aspect, I think. Yeah.
For sure. I
agree. That's good.
Yeah.
So it's obviously on a much larger scale than what I deal with day to day. But like those roles you were talking, like the administrative roles, like inventory or accounts receivable, accounts payable. I mean, on the scale that you guys are on, are you able to kind of just say, oh well, we're down this person today, I'm going to fill in and just do this? Because I feel like it's much more involved than where I'm at right now. So are you able to just like jump into her seat for that day and be like, yep, well, this is what I'm doing. I'm just going to pick up where they left off.
I think to an extent. I mean, for the most part, we like to be so organized, and sometimes I feel like even for a small business, we're too organized. But that you can't be, because you never know what's going to happen. Like you're saying, God forbid, someone gets out. We see it a lot where someone has to go out for surgery, someone has to step up. But I think we're so organized to where we don't necessarily have to step in on a daily basis, because if it goes a day or 2, we're okay. It's okay. Right. But if it's going to go a while, then someone's going to step up to where we got to step in.
Well, like employees take vacation.
Yes, exactly.
Like my estimator's on vacation next week. Yeah. So like my days are going to get a lot harder.
Because you got to pick up that.
But I'm able to jump in and take all, answer his emails for him if I have to.
Yes.
But you're doing that also because he deserves that, and you want to.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not going to. I don't want to hire somebody and say, "Look, you can't take vacation, man." Because
there's a lot of business out there like that. But at the same time, that you're right. If someone has to be out, if someone's out and they got to be out because health is, we want that. Like we need that, and we need people to step up, and we're willing to step up. And and you and I had a conversation earlier. That's kind of where we are right now. We're working more in the business and on the business than we really want right now, but that's what's needed, and we have to do that. So if that means whatever growth we have planned or we wanted to have planned, it's not going to happen right now because we need to be where we need to be right now, and that's in the business with the team and trying to do things that we need to do.
Yeah.
Now, am I going to step in and do something when I know I have managers that I need them to do that? Not really. There's things that I'm not going to do that I can do because I need them to learn and I need them to grow, and they need to be able to do that. So there's fine lines there where if it's something that we can step in and do, if there's someone else that can do it, we need to delegate down so they can get better at it, kind of thing. So
and our office team is our admin team is really great about all working together. So if our girl who does accounts payable is out for a week, our girl who does accounts receivable will step in and help her, and vice versa.
So you kind of have teams.
So we do. We have teams, and it really came true when in COVID, because we split up on A shift and B shifts, because in the beginning we didn't know what was going on, and so we wanted to be able to if somebody in our organization got COVID, we didn't want it to take out an entire store to where our store couldn't be open and our staff wouldn't have paychecks, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And so we would switch up on A shift and B shifts. And so all of our admin staff was on an A shift. And then Ben, myself, and my parents were on B shifts. So that way if something happened, the admin office could function, we could do it, pitch it if needed. But it really showed through all that, everybody came together and they're we can do this, we can do that, we can do this. So it works out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, the way that you guys talk with the teams and working on the business, not in the business. It sounds like you listen to some the Entre Leadership podcast and all kinds of stuff.
Big advocate about all that.
Yeah, me too, man. And I think it's important just to kind of listen to people. I can't incorporate everything that I listen to like that every day because just my industry, my business, my employees, and the culture, and you can't take every piece of advice to heart every time you listen to it.
You want to, yeah.
But you want to, but it doesn't always work out.
Right.
But I think the big picture is you're kind of trying to build a culture and try to keep these people around because they want to be around.
Yeah.
And not just because you're giving them a paycheck every Friday.
And you take, the successes of others and the failures of not only yourself but others as well, and you try to learn from them. That's the big thing about doing business.
Yeah.
If you're not learning, you're not growing. And that's the big thing at the end of the day. We always want to try to grow.
Yeah.
Well, and you always want people to work for you and work with you. That's the thing. You want to get it out of people's mindset that they're just coming there just to punch the clock and get a paycheck. You want people to come and actually enjoy what they're doing. Yeah, it might not be their lifelong career because retail isn't a lifelong career for everybody, and we get it. It might be a transitional phase for people, for high schoolers, or it might be a retirement job or whatever. But you want people while they're there to work with you and work for you and want to work with you and work for you. And so that's the kind of cool thing that listening to podcasts and reading leadership books and we encourage all of our team, we have a library at both of our stores of a bunch of John Gordon leadership books. And so we encourage our managers, we encourage our team to really check those out and read them. And I know everybody's not a reader, but the cool thing is you can get it on podcast now, or you can get it on Spotify and listen to it, and you don't have to physically read it. And that's the cool thing.
Yeah,
so.
And we take things and we do little activities with our management team. We try to have 2 times a year a dinner with them where we go over the year and what we expect, and it's all about trying to become that better team and bettering yourself and learning to grow.
Well, I think it's important for your management teams to just know the direction that you're trying to get to. It's look, this is where I want to go.
Right.
This is what I kind of want you to do to help me do that.
Yeah.
And
it's not kind of. It's you got it.
Well, I say kind of because that spectrum of responsibility to me always changes.
Yes.
It's look, okay,
it does.
well, for this quarter I need you to do this.
Yeah.
But then next quarter it's well, I just lost a couple dudes, so now I need you to do this.
I need a shift.
and that's the biggest thing outside of us. Then the most important piece is our management team. That's who's driving the culture that we expect. I should be able to walk into the store and not tell the difference of who's managing, because when we have policies, procedures, and expectations that this is how we're going to do business, that means everybody on that team, whatever location it is, should be on the same page. Mm-hmm. And in fact, when we look at it, it's if something happens, and we looked at COVID, all right, if something happened to our management team at one location, our managers from one store should be able to manage the other. Yeah. We all got to be on the same page. We got to be one team, one unit driving the same bus. We always say bus because of the energy bus, and that's something we look at our business and we read and constantly, and we want to instill the energy bus and the 10 rules within our own business and drive our culture. Culture is everything, and I'm sure you know that. If you have a winning culture, it's not only going to breed success, with the business, but also within the business in your employees as well. Yeah. So
it's funny because when I graduated college, I was like, I'm done reading. I'm done all this kind of I took my management classes, that's it. And then I'm here I am listening to leadership podcasts and reading leadership books left and right. And I'm who am I?
Well, now because you're in the role,
right?
And you're shit, I actually need to know this stuff.
I gotta grow. I
gotta pay attention.
Right.
Yeah. I think I was just doing it in college to get that degree and check that box off. But now I'm no, I need it.
You're man, my dad doesn't listen to this.
Right.
Stuff. He doesn't need this.
I know.
And it sounds weird, but one of the biggest things with all this is I feel I love the challenge of how can I be better, not just for myself, but for my family, for the business and all our employees, our community, because as we grow and as we grow together as a couple and as a family, we get deeper into our faith. And I think that's ultimately, I can't do a podcast or anything without mentioning it, because that's ultimately what drives us and truly has made us successful is our faith and everything God has blessed us with. And I think that's, at the end of the day, that's what really drives me, is how can I get better on a daily basis for everybody, for God's glory, is how can I get better? And when I read these books and I come away with something, I don't want to just come away with it. I want to implement it. I want to do it. I want to, I want to see it through.
Oh, 100%. Me too. And I try to implement it. Like I said, not everything applies to what I do.
No.
But, you try to implement it as best you can. Absolutely. Because you're okay, well, obviously this is a process that works. Right. And you go out on a limb sometimes and you try to implement stuff and then it falls through, but then you just keep moving along, keep chugging along. And
Absolutely.
I think it's a good process though.
For sure.
And I think that employees tend to, they respect the fact that you're bringing it up, or when you're talking about your faith and everything. I think you relate to more people than people think that they would relate to other people when they bring that subject up.
Well, and there's a fine line with that, and that's something, we want people to see that we don't force it on anyone. And that's the first thing I'd say is we're not that kind of people, but you're going to see it through us.
Right.
And I think that's what people, when they want to know what's different about them, and we want that. We want people to say, what's so different? And if they ask, it's going to be, I'm living out the Great Commission, and that's to bring people to Christ. But that's their own decision. I'm not here to make it. I'm here to plant the seed, and
that's right. All you can do is talk about it.
Right.
Just start the conversation.
Yeah. So.
No, that's great. And I think it goes a long way, and people respect it, even if they don't tell you they respect it. They're like, man, I'm really glad we had that conversation.
Yeah.
And I had, my Spanish guys, they talk about that every time you bring it up. They don't shy from it at all. They have a very strong Christian faith.
Yeah.
That's their culture. That's something that we and them have in common. Yeah. It's not talked about a lot because of the communication barrier.
Yeah.
But when it comes up and you guys start figuring it out, they're like, oh yeah, we talk about that.
Isn't that what's awesome? And I think a lot of our world, and I know this is what's great about a podcast. You can go whatever direction it kind of leads, but isn't that awesome? There's a disconnect in the the language and everything, but you can relate because
but you're still you're talking about the same thing.
It's the same thing, and it's a love. It's the love for the Lord, and when you can relate with that, I wish our society that's where we were right now. I wish that's where we were heading, and so we're going the opposite direction. And we don't need to go into that if we don't want, but that's as we're talking about faith, that's what's awesome. Whether you want to believe or not, if you could look at me however, and it's like, hey, I'm here to be a good person. Why do you want to find fault in that? Whatever my belief is.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to be a good person, why are you going to?
I'll be honest with you, man. Like the Spanish employees that I have, that Latino culture talks about that and brings that up in their group and their communities. Like they'll talk about that at lunch more than like our culture would.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's like a topic of discussion to them.
Yes.
And I don't think like our community realizes that because we don't, we don't communicate with them. But it's like we do have a lot of common ground in that sense.
Well, at the end of the day, we're all people,
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're all forgetting about, and we just need to get back to that, caring for others. And love, care, serve is one of our favorite sayings. Is you gotta love everybody, or you gotta love what you do, or you'll never be great at it. You gotta care a little bit more. And you got to serve. You got to serve to be great. And, it's not only serving the Lord, it's serving each other, and it's, serving yourself even. So
Right. Yeah. And it goes a long way, too, because that whole concept just goes to just being a good person.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's like, look, I'm not going to be an asshole to you.
Right.
And I'm going to do what I think is right. And that's it. I mean, that'll get you a long way in life.
Right.
Just not being...
Right.
And that's what you look for that in your business. Like, do I want someone to come in and not fit that culture of being a good person? Not really. Like if I know I can help someone become a better person.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. But when you're interviewing, if I can get that read, and I don't do a lot of interviews, but our managers know if I get that read that this is not going to be a good person, and they're not going to bring the positive attitude that is going to complement our culture and our team and help our community and serve our customers. Sorry, this is not the place for you. Good luck.
Yeah, man. I was telling you earlier, because on the other side of that, it's like I was hiring for a sales position. Well, I interviewed a guy that I did not hire for the sales position, but I called him back like a week later. I was like, look, dude, you didn't get the job, but I think you got a skill set that I want to utilize because you seem like a dude that I could work with. And so I called him back, and then we've been working together since. Yeah. So it goes both ways. It's like, you don't want that bad guy, but when you come across somebody with a certain personality, it's like, okay, well, you don't fit this job, but we're going to try to figure it out.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
You can be a part of this. Like, how can you help me?
Put people in positions that they're going to succeed for you. That's a big thing.
Yeah. So. And that's what we keep saying. Like, and through this, we keep saying, like, we're reevaluating kind of like how things are structured in our business, because it's, You have to look at it like that. You have to take a step back every couple of years and be like, wait, is this working how it should be working? Or what do we got to do to like change it? And that's the thing. It's like we want to put people in positions that are going to make them shine and that are going to make them succeed. You don't want to put somebody in a position that they're destined to fail because that's not their personality and they're not going to fit it. So it's like you got to be like, all right, you're not good for this position, but I like you. Where else can I put you? You know? So.
So as a small business owner, for me, I put a lot of stress on myself because when you hire a good person, whether it's a good laborer that you want to keep around long term, or a good foreman, or a good salesman, or whatever the position is, it's like I feel obligated to be like, okay, well, I want to be able to grow to the point where you're able to grow.
Yes.
I want to be able to put you in a spot where you're happy and making more money and have a better schedule, or just whatever you want in a career. Absolutely. It's like I want to be able to offer that to you. Yeah. But in order to do that, I have to be able to do more. Absolutely. I put that pressure on myself, and I think that's a good thing, though. Yeah. I mean, it's like, and if you communicate that to your team, it's like, look, this is what I need you to do in order for me to help put you in a better spot.
Yes. And I think
you guys, are on the level where you probably have people that are looking to grow with you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is it hard to kind of judge who are those people and how do you help them get to a new spot? Like, are you looking to grow still, like to where they can have that new position, or are you just trying to move up? And
I mean, you always want to look for different kinds of growth, and our vision is to grow, and how it could, how that is, there's multiple ways we could do it within our own four walls of the four stores. in different roles and getting out more into expanding maybe business to business or something like that. And of course, there's always other locations, but like I mentioned earlier, our vision is not to grow to where we can't make an immediate impact and get to know every single one of our employees. So, I try to make it a point to get around I want to know all 180 employees. I want to know what's going on in their life, and I want to follow up. And that's something I do on a daily basis. When I get into the stores, I make it an immediate impact immediate intention to go around and talk to them, see how they're doing. Let them know that I actually do care about them and that, I'm here. But in the aspect of finding people to grow, you kind of know. Like I need leaders. You need leaders. You don't want bosses. You want people that are going to be able to handle pressure, because whether we like it or not, there's going to be a lot of pressure situations, and you could see that in a lot of employees. Does that mean that they're not great people and can still grow? No. Let's find a role for you to grow into and better yourself.
And I think too, like a lot of the, like right now we're trying to look at like filling the voids that we have that like Ben and I are trying to cover, and so creating a position like for those kind of things, whether it's like a training position, like a strength and conditioning coach that like really works with each store to like help build the team there and figure out like what does every like sales associate need to succeed, and like how can they work with each individual person to help make them the best at their job that they can be.
Absolutely.
And so like it's the positions like that might not be in a managerial role, might not be managing a store, or might not be like an assistant manager or something like that, but positions that are truly important to us.
Very important.
Because we want to make sure that people are getting trained. We want to make sure that people have the tools they need to do their job, because if they don't, then it's not. So it's positions like that you're like, that we want to create, and and these are all like in our mind, and we're like, okay, how can we get it to like paper? How can we get it like, get it out there? So.
Well, in all honesty, with the growth of how fast, we went from 2 stores, and like you said, Dana, having twins. We're failing miserably right now, and that's okay. We got to learn from the failures. It's okay to fail, and that's what we tell a lot of our leaders, our managers. We're going to fail. We're going to fail daily. We're going to fall short, but it's how we respond and how we learn and how we grow from those failures that are going to define us, And right now, when we look at how we're failing, we're measuring those and we're seeing opportunities. And then it's not just opportunities with us, it's opportunities for other people. And we gotta move forward and get things to grow. Like Dana said, it's, right now it's become difficult to have one person do training, do advertising, and do everything else that she does. No, right. Well, we at this point in time, we got 4 stores.
We got to delegate.
That job's got to split a little bit, and let's find ways to really, really, really get our staff, like Dana said, to the levels that they needed to be successful, kind of thing. So,
yeah, I know. It's a daily task.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And then there's multiple positions that can come from this, and we got to look at that. We're always trying to grow our management team, and our leaders are the most important things. They drive the ship, like I said earlier, in the culture. So always looking for that.
Yeah. I as a small business, I'm never not looking for good people.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, it's like, look, like I might not need you right now, but I'm going to keep your information because at any point I might need to call you.
Yeah. And sometimes somebody like walks in and you're like, I do not have a position for you, but like right now, how can I create a position within the next 30 seconds? Like, because I don't want to lose you as like, as a person. And then sometimes it's like people come in and they fill that void for you for a little while and then they move out. But with that move out, it creates opportunity to like restructure a position or like for somebody else to move in. So it's like an evolving process, but it's a cool process.
Well, everyone has their own story, and we always say the job is what you make it, and how that certain employee takes on that job really defines who they are. Where we had our manager now at our Owings location, and her story is pretty awesome in our business, because when people are like, yeah, I don't see that happening, and obviously there has to be some sort of opportunity within our business that opens up for things to happen like it did for her, but she was there, a year, Dana, and became an assistant manager. I mean, she came on part-time. Like, that was her intent, was to be part-time.
Yeah, she came on part-time as a cashier, and she's like, I just want a couple hours just to keep me busy. And then it was like, hey, we have some more hours. You want to be full-time? And she was just kind of like, why not? And so then she, like, moved into that full-time cashier role, and she was, like, crushing it. And we kept saying, we're like, she's so good. Like, we can't lose her at what she's doing. And so then we had, like, an assistant management position open up, and we were like, hey, you know, you want to, like, apply for this? Or, like, what do you think? And she's like, and I thought to myself, why not? And so then she, like, moved into that role. And so then, and she just was, like, she's so determined, and we love her to death. And so then, like, we were, like, we knew this management position at Owings was going to open up. And so we were like, hey, like, what do you think about this? And she was like, why not? And so now it's, like, from the length of time that she's been there, I mean, probably, like, you know, 5 years now, it's just crazy how, like, how much is, like, where she went from just, like, hey, I'm just a part-time girl, I'm just kind of coming in to get some hours, like, you know, to now she's managing our store. And it's like, the possibilities are endless.
Which is cool. And I don't think managers and leaders give themselves enough credit sometimes, because it's like, that's a culture that she grew in that you guys created. And people come and go and people leave, but you know, that doesn't mean you're doing a bad job. Like,
right.
You know,
no, in fact,
you have to give yourself the credit that, hey, well, we have some good people that actually like being here, and they moved up, and they're good people. So like, we got something going on, you know.
But like you said, like, leaving though, like, and that's not, and we don't look at that as, while it sucks losing, like, a great employee that can grow with us or has grown with us, we're their biggest cheerleaders. Like, if they're going to leave and they're going to better themselves, and if they're going to better themselves with us, awesome. Like, that's even better. But if they're going to better themselves not with, you know, somewhere else, we're all for it, you know, and that's what we're here to do. And, you know, and it's all about, it's everyone's different journey, where you like Rachel grew within 4 years as a store manager, and then there you got other ones that just grind, and you challenge them, hey, you're not, you know, you got to do this, you got to learn this, you got to do that, and they embrace that challenge and that journey, and maybe it takes them 8 years, but they finally make it, and you see that growth, and that everyone has a different story, and that's the beauty of it, you know, and there's no one that's better than the other, and it's so cool to watch. So.
But I will say, I wouldn't be human if I didn't say, like, when you get a letter of resignation from somebody who is, like, in your, like, in anything, we're excited, but, like, especially when it comes from, like, your core group, like your management group, and you get a letter of resignation, like, as a human, my gut instinct is like, what did I do wrong? Like, what did I not do? Did I not do enough of this? Did I not do enough of that? And so part of me, like, and then everybody, like, you know, Ben has to reel me in, or, like, my parents have to reel me in and say, Dana, like, we can't be everything to everybody, you know? Right. And we were there for them when, like, and they were there for us when we needed them, and we were there for them when they needed us. And then now it's just a different season of life. But I do want to add, I'm like, if it didn't, it does sting a little bit.
And sometimes it feels like a good punch, like you said, punch. It gets a gut punch because, I mean,
because you love those people, and you're like, why do you want to leave us? Like, why can't you work with us forever? Like, you know. Right. But, you know, after the initial...
That's just part of business, though.
I know.
I mean, that's always, in any industry, for like any company, people are going to come and go.
I know. And the thing is, and like, sometimes I just take it to heart, like, it's only us that it happens to. Everybody stays, everybody else, but it's not.
And that's the importance of building a good culture and, like, a good structure, because when people, like, vital people do leave, it doesn't shut everything down. No. It's like, look, well, we're going to replace you, and we'll be okay. Yes. Like, it's going to maybe slow production down for a little bit, but we'll get through it.
And that's the day. You can't let it swallow you. There's so many things, you know, especially right now in today's culture and I just did a 1 minute boost on it, you know, that wants to bury you. We're in a society right now that, critics, and I always turn to the Man in the Arena speech that Teddy Roosevelt gave, the critic. You know, it's not the critic that matters, but the man that's actually in the arena that, you know, is going to the grind, and, you know, is going to see the failures and still come out on top, whether he fails or does, you know, succeeds. But, you know, you can't stop. You got to keep moving forward. You got to know your vision. You got to know your mission, and that's
your purpose.
Yep, the purpose, and, you know, that's the big thing, is your purpose is ultimately what needs to be driving you. So
yeah, I agree 100%. I think that's the right way to approach it. Yeah, I don't think there's any other way to approach it.
No. Once I put the emotions aside.
Yeah.
Love it. Right. That's the kids checking on you, man.
Yeah. Something I wanted to touch on is your day-to-day. So when you guys wake up in the morning, do you leave for work together, or do you have like a plan? Like, are you organized to the point where you're like, hey, I'm going here, you're going there. This is what we're doing.
We try, yeah. We try, yeah.
No, don't
we
even
try to have a
no.
game plan, but something pops off, or you need to go somewhere. It's tough.
I mean, I think it's pretty much like, it's always like the first question is, who's taking the kids today? Like, who's taking the kids to daycare today? Or, like, who's taking, we're trying, or, like, oh, you're going to Owings. Okay, daycare's by there, so, like, you take the kids today, But, I mean, no, I think it's literally, like, sometimes we go to bed and we're like, all right, I'm going to Lesby today. Ben's like, all right, I'm going to Owings. And then we wake up in the morning and Ben's like, no, you know what? Like, I got to go to Lesby today for this or something like that. So it's kind of
like... So it changes day to day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's funny because Dana will ask me, hey, what store are you going to? I was like, Dana... I don't know. You could ask me tomorrow morning. I'm not going to know until I get in the car and I hit Route 4 and I'm going to make a decision. Like, because there's something that's always going on. There's something, that you just,
Well, with 2 new stores, are you guys spending more time at those locations?
Yeah, that's been the brunt of it. Yeah,
like,
honestly, the last, October 1st we took over. The brunt of it has been there because you have to be there almost on a daily basis. And it was more so I would say at Leonardtown, for sure, because of the remodel that it was requiring there. We remodeled both stores. We're just about done, but the remodel was so extensive and so much.
It was just a lot of moving
parts
pieces
at the Leonardtown store where that required us there to be daily while pushing culture. So you have to be there to one, put the culture, most important piece, but the remodel and making decisions, and then also trying to get our business practices in place on top of the culture, inventories, and doing a lot of work, organizing, revamping things, trying to get things set up so our workers are set up for success on a daily basis, being more organized and everything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, the brunt of it's been in St. Mary's. But like I said, we're getting freed up now more where I've been to Owings for a full day every week the last 3 to 4 weeks.
I went to Owings for the first time last week since pretty much October 1st. And it was like, I walked in there and I was like...
New employee on the floor.
Literally, they were like, there's a new employee in the house. I'm like, no, but literally it was me because I was like, I haven't been there since October 1st, and a little bit before that pretty much.
That's good. It means it's running efficiently.
And you know what? And
absolutely.
that's the thing. And that's what we said. We're like, we could step out of that store for a length of time and they're awesome. They function on their own and it's a good feeling, But yeah, I mean and Charlotte Hall, when we took over, one of our store managers from our other store moved to Charlotte Hall to help us get that store up and running. So he knew us. He knew what our expectations were. He knew how we did business. So when he was implanted over there, it was a sense of relief that we didn't have to go over there and try to implant us 100% because there was somebody there who knew us.
Right.
Whereas Leonardtown, there was nobody there. The store manager was from the previous owner. So he doesn't know us. He didn't know how we did things. So that's why a lot of our focus was at Leonardtown, just because we had to.
And then, of course, on the way home, we'd stop by Charlotte Hall because, when you go to Leonardtown, you can go basically 2 ways to get there, passing Charlotte Hall or Lesby. So the brunt of the stops have been at those 3 locations. And, it's almost like redhead stepchild Owings. But no.
That's because they weren't on the way.
No,
they were
but it's a testament to, like you said, it's running efficiently and they're doing a good job.
Yeah, you give less attention to what doesn't need attention.
Yeah. Yeah. But I will say I was never when we live in Huntington, so we literally live in the middle of Owings and Lesby, and my furthest trip for work was from literally Huntington to Lesby. So it's 25 minutes.
Right.
And so I went from a 25-minute commute to now, by the time I leave the house, take the kids to daycare, and then get to Leonardtown, it's an hour and 15 minutes. And I'm like, I've never been a commuter. I've never had to commute to work. And now I'm like, oh my. But it was good. It gave me a lot of time to listen to podcasts. So it was a lot of podcast listening.
Boom.
Yeah. So.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm not a reader. I'm a podcast guy, and I'll follow along with the ebooks.
In the car.
In the car,
Yeah. So.
And then you got the book. You buy the book and you listen to it. And you highlight. Oh man, that was a good one. Let me highlight that.
So I guess working together all day and then going home and doing the family thing afterwards. Carly and I find ourselves sitting on the couch, relaxing in the night. Then all of a sudden the conversation starts,
comes up,
and then we're talking about it for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's man.
No way around that.
No way around it. I mean, I really don't see it. As much as you say you don't want to do it off off hours. I mean, it is what it is.
You try to turn it off, but it is who you are, you know,
right.
and you could attest to it. It is.
So I would assume
hard.
that goes on in y'all's.
Oh,
yes.
absolutely.
You know, so one, I'll tell you.
And sometimes it's enjoyable. I mean,
sometimes.
It's not always a bad conversation.
No.
But, you know, it's like, man, we probably shouldn't be talking about work.
Well, sometimes, so I'll tell you a story. We were, so Sydney, our oldest, was probably like 3.5. And I think Ben and I had come home from work. And so I think it was one of those days where it was just a lot of stuff that was going on. And you could tell it was weighing heavy on both of us, but we were like, we're not going to talk about it in front of the kids. That's one thing we tried not to do. We're like, if we're going to talk about it, it's got to be when the kids go to bed or something like that, because we don't want it to consume their life as well.
They understand it, they know it, and in fact, they do talk about it because it's going to be hopefully theirs, you know, and it's going to be something they want.
But we try to draw that line in the sand. But we were sitting at the dinner table one night, and so Ben and I were just kind of quiet because I think we were just trying to like get our minds through like everything. And so our 3.5-year-old was like, "Let's talk about the elephant in the room," and we were just like, "What? What? She knew?" And so at that point, Ben and I were both like, all right, like something's got to give a little bit. So I was like, I was wearing it on my sleeve.
A 3-year-old picks up on context clues.
And I was like, she knew like we had a rough day at work. And so now that's where we've created this thing where we're like, we're not going to talk about it like until the kids go to bed. We're going to like stop talking because we do. Right. We're like, we have to turn it off at some point. And it's bad too, like with my parents, like when we get together with my parents and stuff, because they're in the business. And so all 4 of us get together and it's like instantly something comes up about work just because that's our life. And then my mom's like, stop talking about it. Yeah. So we're trying to draw those lines in the sand and create like a little bit more. Right. But I don't think there's ever going to be that hard line.
You can't separate. As a business owner, and it's your baby. It's hard. But at the end of the day, you know, like you said, we try. And I mean, if you know how it is, you go home. You want your kids to be kids. So when they go home and I'm exhausted or I'm worn out, I don't want to wear it on my sleeve. I want to go out there and I gotta man up and pony up and go out there and throw them and do whatever I need to do to let them be kids and let them know that daddy still loves and cares for them. So and I think it works. I mean, they enjoy going to the store with me. Where now I've made it positive, where like I'll take 1 or 2 of them to work with me, and they'll get to see the staff and see what we do, and they enjoy it. So I don't want it to be something that we don't, you know, they don't understand. Like, oh yeah, you know, they got to see that we're human at the end of the day, you know, and that mommy and daddy aren't going to always be okay, but how we process things and how we deal with things is something big that they can learn and take from. Right. You know, it's not that I'm going to come home and, you know, be yelling at Dana and make it all negative, because if I want my kids to be in the business,
you can't make it a
that's
bad.
the last
can't be a
thing
bad topic
of
discussion.
No,
you know, and I want them to understand, like there's an adult way when they grow. There's an adult way or a proper way, even as kids. There's a proper way to handle things, and that how they respond is big. You know, that's a challenge right now. Not with the kids. I mean, as you know, as they start to become a little boisterous and crazy and.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I try to, because Carly doesn't work with me every day. It's only 1 or 2 days a week. So, like, on the days she's not here, she doesn't know what's going on. Even if I had a bad day, I go home, I try not to talk about it.
Yeah.
She's like, how was your day? It was cool. Don't worry about it. Not going to talk about it right now. Like, it just got better because I just got home.
Right, yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like you pull into the daycare and it's like, all right, it's done. Like any conversation, like even if I'm talking to him, like anything that happened, I'm like, it's done. It's done, because you gotta turn it off. You gotta turn it off, not for only your kid's sanity, but for your sanity too. Because it starts to consume you, and like you will like to talk about it because you want to talk about the good things too. Like you want to talk about like, hey, I have this idea. Like, what do you think about this? And I get to a point where like my mind is just mush. Like I can't process anything. Like at 9:00 at night when I like am sitting down, I want to watch like Grey's Anatomy, and you want to talk about like, you know, like a grand idea that you have. I'm like, I can't process it tonight. Like tomorrow morning maybe.
Which is, you know? It's good to be organized in the sense where it's like, look, I know I shouldn't talk about this right now. Like I'm not in the right mindset to actually have this conversation. We just need to do this when it's like working hours.
Right. Like when I'm fresh, because right now I have no creativity. I'm just mush.
Right now I don't care about it.
Right.
Like, I'm really not trying to talk about that right now.
Right now I am not a business owner. I am literally somebody sitting on the couch watching TV.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, good stuff, guys. I mean, is there anything you guys want to wrap up with? I mean, as far as just working as a couple with a small business, or just to the community, or to employees, or whatever. I mean, the floor is yours.
Yeah.
The floor is yours, Ben.
I don't know. You mentioned about how you do, a little thing like you said, I don't want to talk about it at the end of the day. There's things you got to talk about or else it'll swallow, eat you up. And that was something we did, we kind of, when I decided to come into the business 5 years ago, we're working for the government. We want to have our own life there for a while, but our intentions, we knew where we were going to go, where we'd eventually be together in the business and taking it over and running it and everything. Something we said is we need to be able to talk about things. We need to be able to get things off our mind. But, it's not always with each other. It's with, other people that we can vent to. We got to have that core group, that circle of friends or someone that we can go to. And I like to call someone our life coach, where we said we'd go to her every once in a while and talk to her about things so she can just make sure we're on the right mindset. Not only as a couple, we go together. A Christian counselor, and she makes sure we're right as a couple, but also as individuals. And outside of that, we started, me and Rick Sneade started, along with a bunch of other guys, a warrior leadership group where we meet every Monday morning at 5:30 in the morning to start our weeks off, right, where we go and we get in the Lord's word and we talk about things, because there are things that you need to talk about and get off your chest, so you are in the right mindset, and you're not going to give into what's going on in our society and how it can be so negative right now and bring you down. You need to stay positive on a daily basis. For me, not only as a business owner, but as a husband and a father, that's very important.
Oh yeah, man, the world can be very negative right now, dude.
And it is.
Like, if you have a bad day at work and then you turn on the news, it's like, it just got worse.
We won't even do that. We have enough coming from the customer aspect where.
Or if you just get on social media and you're like, that was a bad idea. But no, I think it's one thing we said like through all of this is like as business owners, and one thing that my grandparents and like my parents is like, we want to make a difference, and we want to make a difference in everybody that comes through our doors, between our employees and our community, and that's what we're here to do. That's what we're called to do. But the thing is, we've got to make sure that like we're healthy and we're we're good to be able to do it.
That definitely starts at home.
Yeah, and absolutely.
For me too, like I sometimes I got to give myself a reminder. Like I go to work every day to provide for my family.
Right.
I mean, that's why I do it every day.
Yes.
6 days a week. It's like, well, that's the reason I'm doing it.
Right.
I mean,
and you got to be selfish at times. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you've got to like take a step back and be like, wait a minute, I've got to get something out of this. Not that it's all about you, but at the same time,
you need fed.
You need to be fed, yourself too. So,
and it does start at home. I mean, it really does. I mean, if we want to change our world and our country, it starts at home, man.
Right.
Yeah.
It really does. That's where it is. We need to take care of each other at home so we can go out and take care of our community and those around us. So,
and that's what we say. We're like, it's a phrase that I'll claim that I stole from somebody else. So I kind of like twisted it a little bit. And it's like, we're in the people business. We just do it through hardware. We just do it through running 4 hardware stores. But we just are going to build relationships. We're going to build relationships with our employees and our community. So that way, at the end of the day, like, we leave a positive impact in our community.
That's what it's all about. I think if you just have that mindset and you just do what you can every day.
And then you know what?
It'll be enough.
It will. Yeah. It will. At the end of the day,
hopefully.
At the end of the day,
we'll be judged one day. That's for sure.
Yeah. But yeah. But we're excited. We're excited for what the future holds for Sneades. Like, we've got some big plans. We don't settle for anything. And we're going to keep moving forward, keep plugging along.
Absolutely.
We got 3 little kids now that we got to build a future for. So
that's what you're doing it for.
Yep. My parents did it for us, so now we're going to build it for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's an awesome note to leave it on.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys coming in and
agreeing
to
do
this.
Yeah, thank you.
Very awesome. Very awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yep.
It's very fun. This is, like I said, this is an awesome setup you got going on, man.
Yeah.
A little jealous. We wanted to start this about 2 years ago, and then things got crazy, and
we're living vicariously through you.
Yeah.
It's fun. I mean, I'm not mad at it. It's not really something I asked for, but now that it's going, I'm not like, it's not very difficult.
No,
it's awesome.
Cool people,
yeah, I know, it's awesome. So
you just need to, have that game plan like you were talking. What kind of stuff am I going to provide? I think you're good, man. I think you got it. Just keep at it, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Awesome.
And I think the networking thing with like other people in similar situations, I mean, I think it goes a long way.
It does.
So it's good to have people that you can reach out to and talk to and ask questions to.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like hearing other people's stories and what they're doing, it helps people, connect and relate with them. And I think that's awesome. Building relationships. And
you're not alone.
Relationships, you're not.
Yeah.
Can relate with someone some way, man. That's
so thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
No problem, guys. Thanks for coming.
All right, thank you.